You are tuning in to the You Are Loved podcast, where we hope to bring love and kindness to the world.
Welcome to another You Are Loved podcast. Why? Because you are loved, and so are we. We have an amazing guest on today, Cynthia Terrell, who is passionate about helping active women over 35 reclaim their vitality and confidence as they navigate unique challenges of midlife, drawing on her own journey as an avid CrossFitter and her expertise as a certified Ayurveda practitioner and nutrition coach. Cynthia empowers her clients to achieve lasting well-being through a blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Her coaching programs combine evidence-based nutrition strategies, holistic wellness principles, and practical routines that fit busy lifestyles. Cynthia holds certifications from Dream Releaser Coaching, Precision Nutrition Level 1, and the Journey of Intrinsic Health, giving her a unique perspective on the interconnectedness of mind, body, and spirit. Cynthia's compassionate, results-oriented approach helps them nourish their bodies with whole foods, develop sustainable habits, and reconnect with nature's healthy energy. She believes that every woman has the inner power to thrive, and she's dedicated to guiding her clients towards vibrant health inside and out. Welcome, Cynthia. Thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
So what does Ayurveda mean? What does that mean?
It is, loosely translated, it's the science of longevity. It's an ancient approach to health and wellness. It comes out of India. It's been around for thousands of years. And it's all about balance. It's a very preventative health approach. Food is medicine, medicine is food. And it's a combination of lifestyle and diet choices that bring balance to the mind, body, and spirit so that you have health.
That's awesome. I recently went through a 21-day no meat fast where we just started out with all natural foods and no potatoes or anything like that, but just fruits and vegetables. Yep. And except for potatoes. And I can say that during that process I probably lost about 9 pounds, which was great. But I was like, okay, this here is not sustainable for me. Like sometimes we just have to know ourselves the best. And I realized, and it helped confirm that I'm definitely a meat eater. But when I lost the majority of my 20-something pounds, that I was losing about a pound a day, but that was when I was staying off all starches and sugars and, carbs and no soda, no fruit drinks, nothing like that. And staying away from high fatty fruits that your body processes more as sugar, like bananas. And I stuck with blueberries, and I think I'm going to stick with apples because apples is a great source of fiber. And so, yeah, so I was like, okay, this is cooked vegetables. I like hot food. I don't like raw food. I do like it, but I just can't do that every single day. I just felt hungry all the time. So, but now there are, and I'm over 35, and there's a lot of many women that are over 35 who are silently battling fatigue, weight changes, hormonal shifts, while still holding down their careers, their homes, caregiving roles. Where do you think a woman should begin when her body no longer responds the way it used to, and her identity is starting to feel fractured because of it?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say you really need to look at what it is you are eating. Because what we eat, and I'm going to go throw some lifestyle stuff in there too, because it all kind of goes together, but what we eat and how we live really affects our body. And the more whole natural foods that one is eating, the more balance you're going to have in your body. Now, everyone's a little different, so it's it's hard for me to give, like a carte blanche thing, but we definitely need to also, the other thing that a lot of women do is they undereat protein. So you really need to look at what you're eating for protein, what your protein sources are, how much fiber you're getting into your diet. So that goes back to those whole veggies and fruits and stuff like that, and grains, is that fiber comes from, and that's what our gut microbiome loves to live off of. So the American diet is very deficient in fiber. So
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a critical piece of, our health is the amount of fiber that we're getting. So I would do like a food diary and just see for about a week, and maybe have someone take a look at it and see where improvements can be made. One of the things, carbs are demonized, but you really need to look at the quality of the carbs. So when I say carbs, it's going to be your starchy vegetables. There's really nothing wrong with them. We need carbs because the brain loves glucose to process. And believe it or not, the brain uses about 20% of the calories that we take in each day.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
And it is a lot. And the other thing, especially women, some men have this problem too, but a lot of times people are not eating enough. That we're so focused on that scale number, and we're taught that, the less we eat, the more weight we're going to lose, where there comes that tipping point where if you're not eating enough, it's going to impact your brain function. It's going to impact your energy levels, because your body's now using itself for energy.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who is active and you're lifting weights and you're doing your cardio, but you're not eating enough and you're gaining weight, it's oftentimes like just eat more food, but the right food, not just any old food.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. What's your thoughts on like intermittent fasting?
Well, if you follow your eating schedule, there's a lot of controversy out there. So I'm just going to put my Ayurvedic hat on. So we're into the natural rhythms of life, and your digestion will run with the sun. So early morning, it's very natural. Back in the day, I keep telling everyone, it's like getting back to basics is key to our health at this point. We used to start with something fairly, light or, easy to digest, or, not everyone has to have a big breakfast when they wake up in the morning. Lunch ideally is your largest meal of the day. That's when the sun is highest. That is when your digestion is strongest. Then you want to eat before the sun goes down. Obviously, this time of year, it's up a little bit later. People usually do extend what time they're going to bed too. But let's just say you cut off your eating, say by 6 p.m. You are automatic. If you don't eat anything before, after that time, and you don't eat anything until the next morning, you've already fasted.
Yeah.
So to me, the intermittent fasting has come into play because many people have developed the habit of eating all hours of the night.
Yeah.
So they're going to sleep with food on their stomach, which is it's not an ideal situation.
No.
Your sleep is meant for your body to do its detox, its reset, its repair, recovery, and basically it's housekeeping. So if you've got meals sitting on your stomach, your body's going, I'm not really sure what I should be doing right now.
Right. Yeah.
So nothing's being done well is what happens, because you've spread the energy systems too thin. So from an Ayurvedic standpoint, intermittent fasting, that would be the intermittent fasting. And we also, for Ayurvedically speaking, fasting is done in a way that is you don't stop eating. But what you do is you have meals that are very easy to digest, so that you are able to still get nutrients into the body. You don't negatively affect the digestive fire, and still have an ability to detox. So that's a whole another topic, but not eat or skipping meals is not an Ayurvedic practice, because we like to protect the vibrancy of the digestion.
Yeah. I like to have like some cottage cheese and some blueberries in the morning,
Mhm.
like an hour or two after I wake up.
Yeah.
And then usually I do try to have like lunch after 1 o'clock is like my biggest meal.
Okay.
So yeah, but I found that what was I gonna say? Yeah, I found, and the other thing is like if you eat really late at night, it's your body, you can get acid reflux, all of the
Mhm.
kinds of stuff. So which makes sense because your body's not getting a chance to heal itself.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
So now since the Ayurvedic, so you've integrated ancient Ayurvedic wisdom with
Mhm.
modern nutrition science. Can you walk us through like how these two worlds meet and what the union looks like in the life of a busy woman trying to reclaim balance and energy?
Okay. Well, a lot of what I just said, as far as getting out of that, getting out of the diet mindset,
Yeah.
and really regaining the ability to listen to the body and what it's calling for. Now, that
Okay.
takes some deprogramming and some practice as far as tuning back in, but it the ancient wisdom part again is kind of following the rhythms in nature, because
Mhm.
we're part of nature, even though we like to think that we're not. And just think about it, the farther away from nature we become, the more sick we become. And it's
Yeah.
that's a part of it. It's not the whole picture, but that's just a part of it. So it's really finding those opportunities to get reacquainted with nature. I just put a post out this morning, just to remind everyone, if you're feeling blue, or you're feeling a little melancholy, oftentimes all we need to do is just take 15 minutes and get some morning sunlight into your
Mm.
eyes without sunglasses, and make sure it's first thing in the morning, kind of a thing. And
Yeah.
that doing that on a daily basis is can be life changing.
Oh wow.
Putting your bare feet on the bare ground
Yeah.
is another way to reconnect. And the earth has I think it's negative ions that helps settle and bring grounding to our nervous system.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah, I
just
love that.
so it's little things that, before we got so technologically advanced, we were automatically doing it. We were
Yeah.
outside, we were touching the dirt, we were out in the sunlight, and we followed the rhythm of nature. And so that's where the ancient practices come in a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
Um, but also the food part, it's really getting more herbs and spices into the diet. The standard American diet is very bland when you really start thinking about it. It has no color. But
Yeah.
when you start putting together, the vibrantly colored vegetables and fruits, and you add in these vibrant spices and stuff, I mean, things just
Mhm.
start to come alive. And I mean, just you can it's eye appealing. So it should be eye appealing as well as nourishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And taste
and it
good.
doesn't
That's
have
where
to
the herbs
be.
come in.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to take you hours in the kitchen. I mean, I have
Right.
my big lunch of the day. It usually has a vegetable. It has a protein source. Lately, I'm on a kick of eggs. Um, Doing like an omelet with
Uh-huh.
vegetables, and I add in all these spices that are good for the digestion and the microbiome and the whole nine yards. It probably takes me, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes
Oh wow. That's awesome.
to put it together. But when I worked outside the home, what I would do is I bought these oven safe glass dishes,
Mhm.
and I would pack what I wanted to eat. And the place had a toaster oven thing. I would
Mhm.
just pop them in there and have it cook while I was, doing whatever. So that by the time I was ready for lunch, I had a nice hot cooked meal.
Oh, that's awesome. One of
So,
the snacks that I did discover through this 21-day no meat fast
mhm.
was that like carrots and celery is actually really good with hummus
Yeah.
instead of crackers or chips or
Yep.
something processed,
Yep.
and it's all natural, and it's like, and I would get full on it,
Mhm.
but then just being so hungry, like an hour or two later, it's just like, so yeah, but it's
I
just having some snacks with you to help with
Mhm.
that, or increasing my water intake was huge too.
Yeah. I would say that you probably where you were getting so hungry so quickly is probably you weren't pairing it with enough protein. Even though the
Yeah.
hummus has some protein in it, it's
Yeah.
in comparison to what you were eating for the vegetables. Now, the fiber in the vegetables are good, but having that added protein in there would have made it a little bit more, would have had more satiety, if I can say that right, to it, and probably would have lasted a little longer from a hunger standpoint.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like a nice cooked boiled egg or something like that.
Yeah, probably a couple. 'Cause
Yeah.
you want to eat like about 20 grams of protein every time you're, sitting down and eating something.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah,
That's a really good measure.
yeah.
So you're talking about like with women, or just people in general, like getting tired
Mhm.
and your body having an opportunity to recover. So a lot of times as women, when we're being pulled in so many different directions, we could confuse like burnout with normal. So
Mm,
how do you specifically like help a woman distinguish between the kind of tired that needs rest and the kind of tired that signals disconnection from her true self?
mm. That's a good question. And that's probably going to be very, let me see, I don't even know how you can put that into words. um, it's probably, I mean, the first place that comes to mind that we need to start is just to see what kind of sleep they're currently getting.
Yeah.
I know when we hit a certain stage, we tend to start to really suffer. And when stress gets really high, a lot of people have trouble with sleeping.
Mm.
And many people nowadays don't have a consistent bedtime. And that's whether we know it intellectually or not. I mean, I was one of these that used to just push, push, push. And some of us have a very pushy type of personality, thinking we always have to push through things. So we have different personalities to deal with as well. And I was one of those people. It's like, oh, I can't be tired. I got to get all this done. But it's kind of funny when you start to dial back and really understand that the more you're pushing through that stuff, the farther behind you get because you're not
Mm-hmm.
functioning optimally. It's now I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Distinguishing between the difference
Yeah,
between,
but
like
that was
feeling tired and burnout and not getting enough sleep and stuff.
yeah. So we tend to not. Oh, so I was going into the routine thing. So our body does like routine, even if we're not recognizing it.
Mm-hmm.
So to maximize sleep, it's very important to have a consistent bedtime, Monday through Sunday. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if it's a work day or not.
Mm.
It should be you really, to know you're getting enough sleep, you should be going to bed at a time where you don't need your alarm clock to get you up.
Mm. Yeah.
So, or, just have it there just, for a just in case kind of a thing. But ideally, if you're getting enough sleep, the alarm clock is no longer necessary.
Oh, wow.
So, again, I'll put my Ayurvedic hat on. From an Ayurvedic standpoint, we should be, and this is to maximize the recovery and the housekeeping that the body does at night, we should be asleep by 10 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Which
That
I know
seems so
most
early
people.
to me. Sometimes I can go to sleep that early, but most of the time I'm just such a like 11, 12 o'clock. Yeah. And then I do get up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So
Yep. Yeah,
yeah.
I used to, before I knew what I know, that was me, 11 o'clock, and I'd be getting up at like 6 or sometimes even 5, when my old work schedule. And once I learned that you can maximize your health by getting enough sleep and getting the proper sleep and maximizing what happens during your sleep, I did, start training myself to go to bed earlier. So you don't even want to know time to go to bed now, but anyway, this is normally my wind down time. Cause I used to coach a very early morning class. So I've just become a morning person that I never thought I'd ever be. But yeah, so there's that portion of it is just understanding where they are from a sleep standpoint, and then understanding, are they the kind of person who is going to keep pushing and not really listening, and then developing those habits to help them learn how to tune in and really recognize when they're pushing beyond their
limits and
their
stuff.
limits. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, and it's unfortunate that it's like we're such intuitive beings, and we have a tendency, I think, especially like myself, like ignore stuff, and then it will always come out in some way. So that's so true. Like, you just have to continue to stay within that the best that you can, so that way we can just continue to move forward, like healthy within our bodies, our emotions, our spirit, and not come crashing down. We have to be able to invest into ourselves as well, and probably having a regular sleep schedule and so forth helps us do that.
Yes, absolutely. And what we've been programmed to believe as part of the aging process is really, when you because we've not taken care of our body. We've not been taught to take care of our body. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but most of us Americans, we just like, we're a go society. And what we've been taught to think is part of the aging process is basically years and years of the body being out of balance, that it's grown tired and can no longer, because the body is very robust and wants to be healthy and wants to heal and, wants to be vibrant.
Yeah.
But the more we abuse it and not take care of it the way it needs to be taken care of, it does reach a breaking point where, it can no longer perform, because it's like a worn out car that you haven't been putting oil in for a long time,
Right.
So that's one of that's my passion, is just to help people understand that, just because you've been around for X number of years, you should be feeling this way and looking this way. It's like, no, I'm 61 years old, and
wow.
I don't feel it. And I don't think other than the gray hair, I don't necessarily
I don't think you look it. I thought you were around my age in your 50s. So
no, I'm 61 and I'm on the 120-year plan. So I feel great. So the bottom line is if you're think about everything that you put in your mouth is what's being used to build your body. So number one, you have to be putting in the right stuff. You have to be putting enough of the right stuff in to meet your energy expenditure, so that the body's not using itself for that energy. Because what it does is, if it doesn't have enough energy coming in to support the output, it starts breaking down muscle and tissue and stuff like that. So, as soon as people, and we as women, especially, because we're the ones always, taught to be, we're supposed to be skinny and we're, whatever, we're very attached to the number on the scale a lot of times. So we'll undereat, and it's challenging, because I still suffer from it on occasion. I have to talk to myself too, because it's hard to undo years with programming, but to just understand that it's okay to eat, and as long as you're eating the right stuff, it will have a wonderful effect on the body, in the fact that you will be able to start dropping the weight that you maybe haven't been able to drop for like the past 5 years or something. However long, but we're, it does, if you're someone who's has eaten for a very long time, you do have to do a reset.
Yeah. And that's what we were pretty much doing this past, the past 21 days. It was basically resetting our bodies. So,
and how do you feel after doing that?
I felt hungry. I just wasn't eating enough, because Not the whole time, because I'm not really a raw person, and like with not being able to eat hot food. So
it was a raw diet.
at the beginning, the first week was, and then we were able to bring in, some additional things. And then like the third week, we were able to start bringing in like hot food and so forth, like some cooked vegetables and things like that. But I find that what works best for me and that I'm going to be able to stay consistent with is like with the vegetables, really like limited fruit. Outside, I was only doing the blueberries before until this past season. I like the cooked vegetables. Like I would like to do like a cooked vegetable with an egg over medium in the morning, and then mix it in, and maybe with like an avocado or something like that. And it was just so good.
Yeah.
And it was great. Just being able to have something like that for lunch, with no breads, no starches, none of that, and no sugar. And I like to have, which has caffeine, I like to have my hot tea in the morning, because I like to have something hot to get my day started off with. I'm not a coffee drinker. So although I like the way different coffees smell, I love it. But my taste buds are like, no way, Jose,
Oh, wow. I wish I had that problem. That's one of my it's not the best choice for me.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah.
So I allow myself that indulgent.
Have you ever heard of Arden's Gardens?
Yes.
Yeah. So they have this really good, like, it's like a gallon jug of detox juice or whatever.
Okay.
So I'm going to, cause when I was driving back, from Florida and stuff, I just was like gorging on some chips, and I had, it was, I was like, oh my gosh.
That's the problem.
Yeah. But when I'm eating the way that I know that I can eat healthy and all that stuff, I don't do that, so that's how I knew. So now, like, I can do a total 3-day fast. Like, that's not a big deal for me. And I want to do so for something like that, for me, that specifically works. Like 3 days, do a juice fast, and do a lot of cleanse with a ton of water. And with my hot tea, no sugar. And then that works great for me. And I feel so much better. I did feel lighter. I lost some weight and stuff, but then I gained 3 pounds right back so fast, because I felt like my body was starving itself. Then it absorbed all this stuff,
It could be, I mean, I don't know what your diet looks like, but there's a lot of things that can be inflammatory. So on your detox, you're not consuming anything necessarily that's inflammatory to the body. So it could be that when you started bringing foods back in, there must have been something that maybe was causing some inflammation and water retention.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so what I was going to share with you was the fact that you went on such a dramatic change for even though it was 21 days. It's like, you went into it, and I know people do this all the time, but the best. So when I work with somebody, I don't go, oh, you can never have that again. It's like, let's add in the good stuff. See where you are, and let's bring in more. Let's say someone who, because a lot of people don't eat enough vegetables. So let's get half your plate with vegetables.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily do it tomorrow, but over the next couple of weeks, we're going to target getting half your plate full of, non-starchy vegetables, and kind of start that way, because the more, when you start bringing in the good, it starts displacing what we don't want to have in the diet. So, but we don't ever say you can never have that again. It's more of like, what can we do to bring in the good? Because all that other stuff is going to start falling by the wayside, because your body's going to start loving all that new stuff coming in, going, oh, that's what we've been looking for.
Yeah. And then I realized also the other thing is, when I'm working out consistently and stuff, I don't want the crap, I want the healthy foods, because your body really craves that even more. So for women like myself who have like struggled with it, being like consistent with this, and like with my wellness routines, and even like I'll work out for a long how, and then I'll stop for a long time and then go back, and I really enjoy it. But so why do you think it is that women do struggle with that? And like, how do you approach helping them create habits that actually stick?
Okay. I think women really struggle with that because we have an all or nothing attitude.
Mm,
We're like, oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. Oh, I just had a bad day. Okay, well, I had this bad day, so I'm going to let myself do this.
yeah.
Oh, now
So
I've
true.
had 2 bad days. I'm not doing very well, so we're
I'll
just
just
going to
start
keep
Monday.
going. Yeah, yes, we
Start
keep
back Monday.
pushing off that start date with the idea that we're going to get back to it. We're going to get back to it because it's all or nothing. And I'm like, no, it's not all or nothing.
Yeah.
You can restart your day at any moment. Like if I'm having a bad day, I can restart my day right now.
Yeah.
You can make a bad choice for breakfast, but you can make good choices for lunch. It's not all or nothing. It's like you have to celebrate the wins, no matter how small. If you've done better today than you did yesterday, yay. If you got, if you didn't meet all your goals, but you got like 50% of them, yay. It's just you've got to recognize, you've got to focus on what you've done well.
Yeah.
Not where you failed, which, we humans, that's what we focus on. But it's kind of reframing, it's working on that reframing of, okay. And, our body is fairly resilient for a very long time. So it's just a matter of building consistency, not perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's where we all, again,
and forgiveness, like forgiving yourself, right? So when you do that, when you do fail or whatever, it's just getting right back on it. That's when, like, the phrase, like, just get back on the horse. Like, don't wait, because you'll never get on it again. And then your fears and your excuses and the lies that we tell ourselves will end up building up, and then we'll start believing that and forgetting how great we felt when we were, and then just coming against ourselves. Like, we're meanest to ourselves more than other people are. They say, like, the mean girls, but the mean girl is us to ourselves, So.
Yep. So, even if you've taken a week off from the gym, for whatever reason, it's like, no, just, and then it doesn't have to be, okay. So, because the gym is another good one, is like, okay, so maybe you can't get the whole workout in. Be okay if you can only do 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times if you just allow yourself going, okay, I'm only going to do 5 minutes. Do you really think you're going to stick to that 5 minutes?
You'll end up doing it longer.
Exactly. So it's just finding the little baby steps that will get you to, go in that right direction. And if you choose the 5 minutes and that's all you do, you got to work out in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
exactly.
but you're still going to be all set for the next one.
Yeah. And that helps with those endorphins and so forth. So I wear, like, my Apple Watch and like my phone and stuff to help with, like, my activity and everything. And then one day I was at the gym for like 45 minutes, and I did 5 minutes on the treadmill, and then I worked out with my trainer, and then afterwards I did 10 minutes on the rowing machine, and then or 15 minutes and another 10 or 15 minutes on the bike. And then my watch is like, you only burn 300 calories. I was like, that's a doggone lie. You lying. I was like, how dare you?
You know what? I no longer wear them. Because that just added more stress to my life too. We know how to lose weight without those and stuff. I'm not this is no judgment. I'm just saying that for me, I'm like, you know what? I am so done. They kept breaking on me anyway.
Yeah.
But we did know how to do all this stuff without the gadgets.
All that. Yeah. I feel like it helps keep me more consistent than I would.
Yeah. Be. I mean, it can, it certainly can. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that it was adding more stress in my life than what
then you got to remove it, right? Because what works best for you, and it helps you with your healing. Yeah. So, so with that, like, so since you work with a lot of high achieving, busy women that may have all the stuff that's creating all these stresses and so forth in life, what do you think is like a boundary, right? I love, like, good, healthy boundaries, or a mindset shift that often that like we often need in order to actually start like our healing process, like our mental, our emotional, spiritual, healing process?
The first thing that comes is allowing yourself to get 5 to 10 minutes of morning sunlight.
Yeah, that's great.
Even on a cloudy day, because we especially when we're taking care of families, because I've been there, done that, got that t-shirt a long time ago. But when we take care of our families, we just think that we pour so much into everybody else. And I suffered with it too. And of course, with age comes wisdom and all that kind of stuff and lived experiences. And if I think back, if I just carved out 5 or 10 minutes, it doesn't need to be hours.
Yeah.
And to me, it goes back to the sleep. If I understood how important sleep was and really prioritized that, so that I could get up in the morning before everyone else was getting up, so that I did have that time on my own, what a world of difference I think that would have made.
Yeah, I love that.
That's all really easy to say, but when your kids get older, they get involved in a lot of things. So sometimes the bedtime can be a difficult thing to control. But it's just coming up with what is your 1 or 2 non-negotiables that no matter how hectic life becomes, what are you going to do for yourself, for however, whatever you've determined is going to be your set point.
Yeah.
And
so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and it does make a difference on how we show up for everyone else too.
Yes, because I always talk about like put the mask on first if you're on a plane. And then because in that way you're able to help others. So if we're not refilling our tanks, then all people are going to be getting is this empty vessel. And then, and unless you're a boat trying to fill people up in it, other people, it's not going to be very helpful, but the boat still needs to have its gas filled up, or it needs to have rowers. It needs to have safety equipment. It needs to have all this stuff in order to be able to support the people that come into the boat.
Yeah.
So,
and the one thing too, when we were talking about a few minutes ago, the boundaries and stuff, is the fact that with the exercise, or why we fail with the diets and the exercise and home run yards, it's like a lot of times we are also putting that we have to do it this way and stuff, and just reframing it with, I get to.
Yes.
I get to do this for myself, or I get to do this for my family, or, whatever it is that you're working on. It's like, instead of thinking of it like, I have to, I get to.
Yeah. It changes your whole mindset.
It does. I saw that on a podcast a few weeks ago. I'm like, I'm using that.
Yeah. When it comes, because my mom's fully disabled, and so she is a 2-time stroke survivor. Praise God. She's been stroke free for over 8 years.
Oh, good.
And I'm so thankful for that. But when it comes to like changing her or wiping her down, before I used to say I have to like make sure that my mom's good, but now, and I would correct myself when I would start to think that, or I'd say it, I'd be like, no, I get to do this for my mom. I get to serve her. I get to take care of her. I get to do this for my parents, Yeah. So, and then it changes your whole appreciation, because imagine if our parents felt like it was such a chore. I'm sure sometimes they did when it came to changing our diapers when we were a kid, and we were completely and solely dependent on them, and they couldn't survive with that. We wouldn't be able to survive without our parents when we're babies. So as you've gone through your journey, right, and your time in working with other ladies, and so what do you think is like probably like what's one horror story that you've seen, or that you've either gone through or you've seen someone else go through, that completely changed your approach to food? And then what is like one unexpected encounter you've had on your wellness journey that still makes you laugh?
That makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a horror story that made me change my thing to food. Let me see. It was probably, so when I went through my perimenopause, it was a horror show. Because I didn't know what I did then, what I know now.
Yeah.
So I had a very, in my opinion, an extreme reaction to it, in the fact that I was a very high performing person. I had a very high stress job that caused or allowed me to juggle a lot of different hats all at the same time. And I had started this is when I moved to Dothan, Alabama. I was living in Maine, moved to Dothan, Alabama, started a new job. And shortly after I'd gotten there, I can remember sitting in my office and I didn't know where to start. I had so much overwhelm that I'm like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I had never had that happen before. And I didn't really know what was going on. I did not know that it was perimenopause. So I very reluctantly went to the doctors, because it's like, if I can't perform my job duties, then I'm not going to be very good in my new job. So I went to the doctors and they put me on an antidepressant, which I'm not a medicine person. I'm not knocking anyone who does it. It's just, I've always been someone who's very much into natural remedies for things, but that's how desperate I was, that I'm like, if this is what you think I need, then I'll do it, because I need my mind back. I didn't know who I was. So anyway, I did it. I actually have lasting negative effects from it, even to this day. But it was after that I was able to study Ayurveda. And it made me realize that I had such an extreme reaction to the hormonal shifts because of the imbalances that I had created in my body from all the neglect over the years. I was someone who thought I had a healthy diet. But there's a whole host of things that I wasn't doing everything wrong, but I was not doing the right things for my body. So I had a lot of imbalance. So in this stage of life, all the imbalances that have accumulated over the years start to really rear their ugly heads when the hormonal shifts start changing. So I guess that would be the horror story that shifted my approach to food, because I used to eat like ice cream every night. I'm not saying that that's a healthy thing, because it's not, but the fact that it's frozen can be very detrimental to the digestion, believe it or not. So not only was I eating ice cream every day, but I was eating at night.
Yeah.
Before bed.
Yeah.
So, that's just one bad habit that I had back then. And so anyway, all that to say, Ayurveda really changed my approach to not only health and wellness, but food in general. And the fact that you can either be eating for health, or you can be eating for disease.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
So,
eating for health or eating for disease. We get to choose, right?
That's right. Yep. But unfortunately, our food system is full of many pitfalls. So you have to be very educated in maneuvering through it, which is one of the things I like to help people with too.
So, well, that's awesome. Yeah. And so what's like a funny or unexpected counter that you've had on your journey that's like made you laugh?
See, that's a really good question, because I'm going to have to think about that one.
Like, have you ever caught yourself doing something and then you have like a memory to something in the past and you're like, I'll do that. And then I'll just laugh at myself and people look like, what are you laughing at? Like, none of your business, mind your business. This is between me and myself. Okay.
It's really sad to say, but maybe I have, but I tend to be a very serious person. Not that I don't, I do have a sense of humor. I do. And I can laugh at myself, but those don't necessarily stick in my head.
Oh, okay. All right, then.
Nothing comes to mind at the moment. I'm sure there's been something, but I'm trying to think even from an exercise standpoint. but nothing comes to mind. So what is your
Okay.
next question? If something comes to mind, I definitely will share it though.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Um,
I know.
So as your people are going through this, so like with like the mentality and the spiritual level, and you work with a lot of women who are used to being strong, holding it all together, performing, achieving. So how do you like help someone shift from surviving with excellence to thriving with grace,
Mm,
especially when we're letting go like feels threatening to like our identity, like just letting
mm,
go of stuff. It's like a lot of reference points that we build up over time, unhealthy boundaries, unhealthy thoughts, unhealthy habits, just different things like that. And so a lot of times we fall back into that because that's what we're used to. But how do
mhm.
you, how do you help women move past that with
Yeah, I think that's
grace?
a day-to-day practice. And as
Yeah.
you're asking that question and putting it all together, I think it's really important to, it goes back to taking those 5 or 10 minutes,
Mm,
even if it just means that you just, because when we start paying attention to our breath,
mm-hmm.
that helps us go in. And when we
Mm-hmm.
go in, that's when we can connect to our higher self
Mm,
and, and our true self is probably another way to put it. Our true self is hiding somewhere in here. So it's just finding the ways to help the individual tap into that, to kind of help bring everything. It's almost like, it's like grounding, I think, to some degree.
yeah. Yeah.
Because if we're getting bombarded with things out here, it's really important to come back to ourselves
Yeah.
and really understand and ask if the what do we need to be doing instead of reacting. There's got to be another way to approach it.
Yeah. I like to use AI for stuff like that as I'm going on my healthy journey and moving past certain PTSDs that I have and
Mhm.
defense mechanisms and stuff like that. Because like when I'll talk to my therapist or someone, I'll be like, oh, that's such a great way to respond to that. I wish I could just naturally think of it that way instead of just responding and or reacting,
Yeah.
to a situation. So I'm actively working on retraining my brain for that. And I found that AI is really helpful with that.
That's interesting. As
Yeah.
you're saying that too, I think that's another pitfall in our society, because I know I personally am one of these. When people are asking questions or that we're in situations, we're expected to come up with a decision or an answer right away. And there are some situations, yes, that's a requirement. But there are also situations where we should be allowed time
Mm-hmm.
to really ponder that thing, because I know, for me, there are certain types of scenarios, and I don't know specific ones off the top of my head, but especially ones that, let's put it this way: somebody's trying to sell you something, and they're like, "You
Mm-hmm.
must buy now, or you're going to miss this opportunity." It's like, that's the time I need to be like, "Nope,
I guess I'll miss it then.
I
That's
guess I'm
my
going to
response.
miss it,"
Yeah.
because I'm the kind of person that likes to take the time to weigh pros and cons in those kinds of
Mm-hmm.
situations. So it's just interesting to kind of, tap in and understand, how you're wired
Yeah.
outside of what the expectations are.
Yeah. 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 I agree with that. So what do you think is like a funny no, I'm sorry. If you had a billboard on the side of every busy mom's road from when you were a mom, or you still are a mom, but what would
Yeah.
it say to remind her of her power and her worth?
Hmm. Let's see. To remind, I don't know. You are awesome.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that.
I don't know. That's the first thing that popped into my head, is like, you're awesome.
We have some kindness cards that we created, and one of them says that you are loved. Yes, you can. You are
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. And so we need that reminder.
Yeah, because we sell ourselves short on so many fronts, because we think, again, it goes back to, we think we have to do everything perfect, and really not about perfection. It's just about showing up the best way that you can. And what we forget is that taking care of ourselves helps us show up as the best version that we can.
Yeah.
So, and it teaches, that leads by example too, especially when you're raising children. So if your children see that you are taking care of yourself in them, it sets a great example for them to, lead a healthier life too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions, and then I'd love for you to tell the audience where they can find you and get some more information.
Okay.
But you will also have all the descriptions in there as well. Okay. But what's your favorite guilty pleasure that you absolutely don't feel guilty about?
When I get together with my sister, we have ice cream.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So you still get to have your ice cream from time to time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
all the time. Yeah.
No, we basically only want to get together with my sister,
okay,
which isn't very often. It's a few times a year, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Yeah. Now, if you could have dinner with any wellness expert, dead or alive, like who would it be?
The first one that pops into my head is Dr. Zach Bush.
Okay. And who is he?
He's actually the journey of intrinsic health that I studied under, but you can find him on YouTube and stuff like that. But he's a triple board certified physician that has turned into the integrative holistic approach to health and wellness. He actually has a nonprofit called Farmers Footprint that does regenerative farming. So he's into health and wellness, but he's very much into the macro aspect of it. So it's not just, he doesn't just look at the body, but it's taking care of the earth. It's really holistic. It's nature-based. It's, taking care of yourself, the world, each other. It's yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Okay. And last question. What's your go-to song when you need a boost of energy or confidence?
I probably don't do it often enough, but I'm a big Prince fan.
Oh, yeah. He's great.
And on his Sign of the Time album, Starfish and Coffee, you cannot be in a bad mood listening to that song. Have you ever heard it?
I don't know, because I'm not really that great with like remembering certain songs. But
it was never released, but it was on his album.
My favorite song is Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton. And I used to sing that to my dog, which is a great song. And it just talks about love, and then how much I loved her. Yeah. So I listened to that to remind me of her and so. But that's awesome. Okay, Cynthia, where can everybody find you? And where can they find you and get some more information? And if they want to connect with you, where can they do that?
Well, you found me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
So LinkedIn. I do have a website, holisticstrength.com, which is holistic with a W. So it's WHOSLISTIC. Well, right here. I put it on
holisticstrength.com. There you go.
And I'm also on Facebook under Cynthia Terrell, just Cynthia Terrell.
Okay. CINDY. Okay.
And those are probably the best places right now. Yeah.
All right. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cynthia, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
This has been fun. And you need to look up Starfish and Coffee, and you tell me.
I'm going to look that up. Yeah. So, all right, Cynthia, thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and I hope you have an amazing day. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. You too. Okay. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. You. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another You Are Loved podcast. Know that you are loved. And even though we may always feel it, just remember that we are, and there's someone out there that does love us, even if it's our pet. So thank you all. And if you want to get any one of our journals to go through, our 21-day transformational journal, you can go to youareloved.store. And I hope everyone has an amazing day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of You Are Loved. If you have any topic ideas or would like to be a guest on the show, please hit us up on Instagram at youareloved.store.